Just in case there are issues. Hi, hello, it's me. What? I know. Now, I I want to say I have a vague idea of what I want to do today, and the vague idea is like I know I want to do something. Anything beyond that, I don't know. I don't know what cards I want to use. Well, we'll see. We'll do one, two, three, and I'm gonna use my favorite virtual assistant, my current favorite virtual assistant. Oh, Siri. Okay. Like I meant Google, but my brain was fixing my mouth to say Siri. So, oh, girl, 1 second. If you can hear the struggle going on over here. Okay, that was fun. I. It's fine. We'll do this first. Hey Siri, choose a number between 1 and 3.
A random number between 1 and 3 is 3.
3, that's both of us. 1 was me, 2 was collective, 3 was both. But when I was here in December, I'm back home, by the way. Well, I say home, but technically right now I don't have one. I am in between homes, um, from one home to the next. Um, yeah, last time I was here, I did alchemy, and it was like the personal alchemy and then collective facing alchemy are personal and collective, and then there was collective facing the self and self facing the collective. And I thought of that, but oh, okay. So we exist within a certain context, right? I am gonna make a note of this while I do this so that I can remember what I'm doing as I do it. This is gonna be interesting. Sure, I'll just go with what I'm thinking. So we exist within. We exist nothing. No, we exist within a certain context. Um, there are pressures to conform, ways that we naturally align, challenges that we overcome to be who we are and what we are meant to be. And when we leave, the world is a bit more blank. Cool. So I guess that's what I'm gonna do today. That mm, sometimes I wonder if some of the things I do are take it as it resonates, if it resonates, when it resonates, and if it don't resonate, don't take it. If it don't apply, let it fly. If it ain't for thee, leave it be. Right? Ain't that what they say? Patrick, why is your thing still not on? Because I'm trying to decide. I guess there's like no real reason. At the moment, everything should be set up. but I'm trying to decide what cards I want to use. I have so many that I haven't used in so long. Yeah, I want to use the alchemy. I'm gravitating towards the SKT. I want to also use the mystical shaman. 1 second. It's my grandma. What's wrong with me? I was getting. Usually, I'm like, oh, if people watch later, they can skip, or if they're live, they can. I don't know. But I'm like, ooh, the clock is ticking. Okay, so yeah, kind of want to use the SKT. Kind of want to use the mystical shaman oracle. I meant to say the well-known alchemy, but mystical shaman came out of my mouth. Is that a thing today? Hey, Holly, how you doing? Um, yes, ma'am. You may assume. So I was like, yeah. I was like, I was gonna try to like keep not like have like a reveal or whatever, but I was like, yeah, it's fine. I was like, because I only had like one deck, that I was using. Um, I did get the Places Oracle last time. I don't necessarily feel like using it. And then I'm like, I could use at least the well-known archetypes in alchemy or the Archeo. So then I was like, I'm just gonna ask a virtual assistant to pick uh, a number between 1 and 4 to see what drawer I go for. So thank you. Yeah, I mean, if we still going to, I'm sure we will be. Like so much has changed that I'm like, I know that there are things that I need to like. Oh, that's something I was just thinking about. Like, there are things that I've been carrying that I lost in the past few months. There are things that I lost that I found. And there are even some things that I never thought I'd find that I actually did. And now it's almost weird because it's like being back, it's only been a few days, but it almost doesn't feel like I'm back. And it almost doesn't, I don't, it's weird because it's like if I think back on the past few months, being here, it's almost like, did it happen? Because I was there for so long. Kirsty, hey, how you doing? I know. I was there for so long. Being back, it's like I'm like having to adjust to it. Like, am I really here? Did that really happen? I'm kind of, and then I was like, I'm trying to get over this jet lag. I'm sort of semi existing, but also like so much has changed and so much had changed. It's like up until the very day that I left, like the last month or so, especially the last few weeks, was full of like realization after realization after realization. Like I feel like it was a good about month and a half of like navigating out of the in between space, followed by a solid few weeks of like just realizations and things that have happened that I didn't even notice had happened. And I almost want to say like ways that I had become not jaded, but more tried to be more realistic maybe in the past few months, or a few months in the past few years especially. But it's like it's a level of realism that I didn't even have like 5 years ago. And I guess having a 9 to 5 and integrating into the working professional real world or whatever. Not that my dreams had gotten smaller, but I don't know. And maybe it's like since Saturn has been in Pisces, it could be. Um, and it's almost a little bit of as I think back on it, and as the realization is happening now or had happened recently, I guess I could turn my camera on. There's no point in like not. So yeah. Excuse me. Hi, hello. I'm like, I don't know. My hair was like I was doing this thing. I think where it was like all over here or something. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing with this. Ugh. I'm sorry. Anyway, um, I think there's like a lighter background now. She switched it. My number one fan took the black and gold and replaced it with this lighter, shimmery, whatever this is. Hi, hello. Um, yeah, so it's just like I don't know, and like so much changed when I was over there, and I'm like, how do I integrate it into my life? It's just it's a lot. Um, but having the realization, while like South Node is in Virgo, North Node is in Pisces, it does almost seem like or feel like there were a lot of life skills that I had to learn, or there were a lot of ways that I had to learn to live or navigate life or navigate living. It's almost like it's an integration. I don't know. It's hard to put into words, but it's like now that that process is complete enough at the very least, it's like it's time to get back into like the dreaming bigger, the doing more, the whatever. It's like it's time to get back into the Pisces now that everything Virgo is like squared away. You know what I mean? Because Pisces in real life without the support of Virgo, like it falls apart. It needs like Pisces isn't necessarily about structure, but a lot of what Pisces Pisces isn't necessarily like structure oriented or focused, but a lot of the things behind the Piscean scenes or to live a Piscean dream, they have a structure to them. Because like if not, they would fall apart. You know what I mean? Anyway. Maybe I should just get into it. Maybe I should. I'll just grab what I'm feeling, right? So I'm gonna come over here. Can you see this? I got this a minute ago. Anyway, yep. I. Who knows? Who knows what is happening, can happen, will happen. That's all I gotta say. And I kind of want to like use these because I haven't used the pickle makers in a while, but I just like want to see them. You know what I mean? So I'll go for these two. I'll go for this one. I know where they are because I just used them. And I think the fourth one I want is in here. Hey, that's the book, and those are the cards. I could use the magical dimensions. Anyway, I guess we'll just see. Who was this? The seer. I guess we'll see. And I open to the seer. Cool. Yeah. I don't know. It's so like the day before my last day there, I was like, I don't know. It's fine. Life is going to life, and whatever is happening or will happen is happening and will happen. And wherever things go is where they will be, you know? Cool. I don't think I want a deck dungeon challenge. Like, I don't. But I do, but I don't. Okay, but how? See, I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, how do I make this? Like, I guess I could just read it, right? Or do I just pull cards? Actually, this is what I'll do. I have 4 decks, 2 tarot, 2 oracle. Both tarot are Spirit Keepers, Tarot Vitruvian and Revelations Edition, the Wild Unknown Alchemy, and the Mystical Shaman Oracle cards. So this will be M for Mystical Shaman. I'll do 1 and 2. 1 is Vitruvian, 2 is Revelations. 2. I'm going to do A for Alchemy. 1. Him, I guess. 1. M. I kind of want to use the Elemental Oracle too. 1, 2. Cool. So I'm gonna shuffle these, and then I guess I'll just pull off the top. I don't know. My favorite moment. I have, I have a few. I have a few favorite moments. I'm not gonna. I'm not answering that question. I can give you an answer, but the answer that I say wouldn't be the real answer. Um, I guess I can say my favorite moment. I've had a few favorite moments. Um, and there's definitely like a theme around the favorite moments. And it's just, I guess I could say like all the ways that I was beyond pleasantly surprised while I was there. Um, yeah, I think all of the ways that I was beyond pleasantly surprised while I was there. There were things that I wanted to do last year, especially in the last few months where I still had my own place, but I wasn't working. When we were in that like 60-day window of like, you're still getting paid, but there's no work for you to do. Like I wanted to learn to cook at least a certain number of dishes. Like I wanted to cook more. I wanted to like do more domestic type things, mostly cooking. And while I was over there, I was there for long enough that like I kind of wow, let me put these down. Okay, yeah. Um I was over there for long enough that I like usually because I go and stay with a friend, I help out with chores, which is like, more than whatever. Um but this time I also got into cooking, and like by the time I left, there was one dish that I made that like I was impressed that I made it. It was that good, and then everybody else was impressed. Most importantly, I was impressed, but I was like, oh my gosh, this is like amazing, this tastes so good. That But now that I'm back, I'm like, ugh, you know it's a different. I'm not gonna say that I cooked because I had to. I mean, to, but you know, I usually go for convenience when I'm home, and because I cooked so much, and because I didn't eat out basically at all, because like the balance of the ratio between cooking, yeah, or like eating home cooked and eating out was the opposite. Also, because like there's a lot less preservatives in the food. The ingredients are typically like fresher or better quality. My sugar intake was a lot lower, a lot less oil and other things. By the end of it, I was cooking with yogurt instead of like whipping cream or dairy cream or whatever, because yogurt's less fattening. Like I ended up losing quite a bit of weight, and in that, it's like it's not just the weight, but it's like health, you know. In South Node Virgo, I got healthier. Can you believe? Can you imagine? Am I not supposed to be healthy because the South Node is in Virgo? Mm. But yeah, I would say my favorite moments are the ones that surprise me like that. Yeah. See, I didn't do the pasta, so I can't say that I figured that one out. We all kind of had our specialties. I guess we did. Yeah. We all had our like specialties. And my friend was the pasta man. And there were some days that pasta was like so good. It was so good. And another thing is like for most things, even with like the pastas and stuff, we didn't use sauces. So like instead of like getting a ragu or a prego from the store, it was like, well, here's the tomatoes, there are the seasonings, you can puree or whatever, whatever. Um, yeah. So the thing that I miss most about home, it's the people, obviously, and yeah, it's the people. Um, I think that's it, you know. But I also like I have people over there, so I didn't get to see all of my people over there, unfortunately, this time. But that just means that it has to happen, you know. So, bloop, bloop. But yeah, yep, yep. Let's get these. Yeah, it was a great time. I guess I could say one of my favorite moments was actually like getting to celebrate my birthday because like that day was yeah. That day was it was a really nice day. Like it started out really nice. The weather was gorgeous after not being like that great. I think it was like the first day of a week of like sun, and warmer temperatures at that point. Um, but yeah, like the sun was out, the water was sparkly. Um, I like went on a little walk, and then there was like this little dog that came up to me, and like it was just like a really nice day. And then we went to dinner and like did the whole birthday thing, and then after dinner, we went to Pizza Pilgrim, and they have like a pizza playground, and it was just like really fun. I'll at least say the first like 20, the first 18 to 20 hours of my birthday. Yeah, 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 yeah. All right, these are shuffled. These are shuffled. Those are shuffled. Everything's shuffled. How is this gonna work? I don't know. Do I ever know? Do I ever know? My biggest regret from being over there, not getting to see Kirsty, but like, but like I said, I just have to go back. And who knows how the wheels of life will turn. Okay, so I think I'm just gonna pull these off the top. Oh gosh, Mystical Shaman's like throwing a wrench and everything. Oh, the journey in the Sweat Lodge. It was definitely a lot of that. I'll get one of these. I'll get one. There we go. It's like not one in the shuffle. The Vision Quest in the Sweat Lodge. Yeah. Okay. Now we're shuffling. Oh. Okay. I got a little too confident. There we go. Let's get one of these. What was London like for Patrick? What was it, and what was it to be? And I want this to like flip over or fall out or something. Clean flip and clean fall, right? So I might be here for a minute. Ooh, the sun. What was it? Interesting. And what was it to be? Oh, two cards came out: the Rainmaker and Earth. First, I saw the Rainmaker, and I was like, "Ooh, that's kind of sad." But then with Earth, um, the rains make Earth fertile, right? It's essential. Water is essential for, if not all life on Earth, most of it. To different degrees, various amounts. There are uh, adaptations to water in different amounts. It was the sun. It was supposed to be the rainmaker for Earth. I actually like the rainmaker for Earth because, again, there were so many between. It was like that in that like 6 month ish window. Um, it was like there were so many things that I realized that weren't conducive to me being where I want to be. And it's almost like when I was talking about, like, all these realizations about the South Node in Virgo, or like while I was doing whatever, there were things that I had like gotten accustomed to or used to. There were things that I had to do and whatever. Um, but it's almost like some of the stuff was turning into or starting to turn into beliefs rather than like realizations or observations about a circumstance, right? And there's a difference between what a circumstance is, what circumstances have been, and these general overarching um, truths of life and reality and what we are to experience. Um, and there were ways that, like, yeah, it's like ways that I had become things that I had held on to. And it was almost like in the absence of the thing, it wasn't necessarily too detrimental because it's like it's not there. But I realized in a few ways, a few times, it's like if this is a way that I continue to operate, if this is something that I continue to believe, blah, 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 whatever, then I'm not going to receive what I want. Like I'm asking for whatever from the universe, but it was like those, like, I'm not, as I'm operating right now, it's not in alignment to receive. So I think like that being the rainmaker for Earth, there was a lot of, I guess, water that came back into the picture that had honestly evaporated, kind of over the whatever. It was a little, I mean, the sun is out. It was a drought. Sun's out. Anyway, cool. Cool, cool. What's at the bottom of the deck? The child. Oh, the inner child. Ooh. See, that's the one thing, besides like frozen pizzas every now and then, and mini, um, what do you call them? I did those falafels. Besides frozen pizzas every now and then and mini falafels, I did not do any baking. I'm kind of scared to bake because if I can bake my own cakes and cookies, then you know, I don't know. It requires a different level of self control when you can make the sweets yourself. You know what I mean? Like avoiding the aisle in the grocery store is one thing, but having eggs and flour and sugar at home, oof, that's a different beast. Not that I'm sure there aren't like healthier ways to make cookies and cakes and stuff like that. So, how are we doing this? Oh, I'll put them in that order. Okay, this is one. This is two. This is M. And this is A. The healer of the fam. I am the runaway. I'm just playing. All right. It's getting a little warm. All right. So, this is what I wrote. We exist within a certain context. There are pressures to conform, Confirm. No, this is supposed to be conform. But I kind of like confirm in a way. You know what I mean? Pressures to conform, ways that we naturally align, not alignment. Where did all those letters get in there? Ways that we naturally align, challenges that we overcome to be who we are and what we are meant to be. And when we leave, the world is a bit more blank. So we exist within a certain context. The bread of life. Interesting. There are pressures to conform. Sugar. Bread and sugar. What is this still? Are we still talking about baking? Are we still talking about baking? Oh gosh. Bread, sugar. No. Should I reshuffle? Ways that we naturally align. The ebony shield. Challenges that we overcome. Oh, magic. To be who we are. Sacred fire. And what we are meant to be. The arrow. And when we leave, the ivory shield, the world is a bit more the empress, blank, the blade. What's all this mean? It's all aces and queens, interestingly enough. And then empress. Ace of Pentacles, Queen of Pentacles, Ace of Wands, Queen of Cups, and the Empress. What is this? Oh, blowtorch. That's for oh, wait. So like for wood burning? I was thinking creme brulee. I actually have a wood burnt. It was this. It's Ganesha. This is the thing that was like sitting up here that you could kind of see. If we're talking about wood burning, oof, I got this in a previous life. That was only what 2 years ago. Yeah, that was 2 years ago. That's wild. Two sometimes feels like 10, and 10 can seem like two. Let's see. We exist within a certain context. The Ace of Pentacles for me is a card that represents like our world. What's interesting about the bread of life, the deepening, Ace of Orbs. What's interesting about the Ace of Pentacles coming out for like the context that we're born into. Like it's such a big world energy that it could be anything. Like there are multiple experiences that exist on Earth. And there's a vagueness to it that's like, you know, you're born in the context that you're born into, and we're all born in a different context. But there's almost a profundity, I guess you could say, a profoundness that is like the world is bigger than our world. And even within the context that we're born in, there are other perspectives, opinions, versions of the story, experiences. It's almost like sometimes we look at the circumstances of our birth or of where we are in a way that can be sort of confining, defined by so many experiences up to that point and what we believe to be possible. But there are over 8 billion people on the planet now, right? We've hit the number. And there's at least, well, I was going to say nearly infinite because, like, there have been more than 8 billion people. I don't know if there's been an infinite number of people. You know what I mean? But it's almost like the story is so much richer and deeper than the context and the things that we kind of sort of pick up on, right? 1111. I hope you made a wish. There are pressures to conform. Pressures to conform is sugar, which is interesting. I just watched a show, and oh, this is actually kind of fitting. I just watched an anime, and um, there's like this one girl who is super sweet. She's very like sort of like over the top, and you kind of think that's just how she is until you find out that she's compensating because she had like a face crack moment. You know, if you don't know what a face crack is, it's when your face cracks. um, and everybody was shook. They were like, "Oh my gosh, did she just say what we think she said?" Um, and but it's not that. It's almost like it's the like by the end of the episode, you find out that of course who she is around her coworkers and friends, her team, is like a persona, right? And who she is in her real life, she has so much responsibility that she's literally exhausted because she's expected to do everything for everybody. Um, and one of the characters is like, she was like, you know, whatever you have going on in your life, if you want to keep it a secret, you can keep it a secret. Just because we're friends doesn't mean you necessarily have to tell us everything, right? But if something like sucks, I want you to tell either us or someone close to you that it sucks. Like sometimes we don't admit that things, sometimes we don't want to admit that things suck because there's almost this feeling of like a hopelessness or a powerlessness. And also, if you're talking to someone else, you don't necessarily at that moment, depending on the situation, want to hear like what's going on with them that sucks. You know what I mean? Because like you are expressing that to have your moment, your time to be cared for, heard, listened to, whatever. And maybe you mutually extend an ear in that time, maybe you don't. Anyway, but it was that like it's okay to admit that something sucks if it sucks. And especially with like sugar coming out as a pressure to conform, it's like I guess you could say it's like social media. The I mean, but it existed before social media, right? Like, can I speak from personal and experience? I mean, like, I existed before social media, but I was developing. You know, you know what I mean. By the time I left high school, everybody was on Facebook. Um, I think a lot of times we attribute it to social media, but I feel like it's a thing that's always existed, right? Trying to prove like who has the bigger house or the most livestock or the who's fed the best or the whatever. Like it's a thing to make things appear to be something that they're not, or to not talk about things that aren't necessarily sweet. You know what I mean? Now, ways that we naturally align is the ebony shield. The ebony shield in this deck, in particular for me, is the divine temptress. And I think what's interesting, it's almost like, just like it's okay to admit that things are kind of sucky when they suck, it's also okay to like relish in or indulge in the sweetness of life. Like if things are going well, like it's okay to feel okay. You know what I mean? It's okay to not be okay, but it is also completely okay to actually be okay. Not okay in a way that is performed or put on, or that is to hide another truth or whatever. It's almost like there are some things in life that are naturally sweet or that are actually sweet. But the Queen of Pentacles, being the Queen of Pentacles, understands like seasons and cycles, understands growth, understands periods and times of dormancy, understands periods and times of boom and wild. Right? The Queen of Pentacles is able to accommodate every season. See, there's something so interesting here. Where it's almost like it's okay to lean into certain things, right? Because so far, it's like the context that we were born into and that we live in, like it is a factual, like what happened to us happened. What is happening, but there are things that are happening all over the world. And just the fact alone that there are multiple experiences is being shared in a way to like almost encourage us that anything is possible, anything can happen or still happen. And then we move into like, we're supposed to like always be happy, or we always want life to be sweet, or we're always supposed to be winning. Like, and our natural alignment is like, yeah, there are times where we are happy, but there are also times where maybe we're not necessarily the best. And in those times where we aren't feeling our best or in the space of challenge, we get to overcome so that we can grow more or beyond that. So it's like both affirming and validating, but also challenging at the same time. Challenges that we overcome is magic. It's interesting that challenges we overcome is magic, while the blade is like the blank. Like this is the, if you're curious, this is what I'm looking at. There you go. The 2 a.m. and 1, those are the decks that I pulled the cards from. So I like I literally left it blank. I almost feel like the challenges that we overcome here being magic is, it's something like the limitations of our understanding. It's something like things that exist outside of our control, things that kind of sort of just happen without any explanation or reason, right? Now, that coming off of the knowing of the Queen of Pentacles, the Ebony Shield, that there is a time and a season to most things, if not all things. And in this way, it's almost like maybe we don't necessarily need to know everything or why everything is happening, or it's like we don't always need to know why, when, where, who, or what in order to address something in order to solve something, in order to fix something, in order to take initiative, or in order to be empowered in a situation, right? Because at the end of the day, there are some things that almost don't matter, right? It's like, who put this thing here? Unless it's one of those, like, in order to avoid repeat instances and occurrences in the future, we're going to have a conversation so we all know what's going on. If it's one of those, then yeah, okay, it would be productive to know who. But otherwise, it's like, you know, either you take care of it or you don't, you know? Not everything is for us to take care of, because we are not the only things that grow and that evolve and that change, right? We are not the only things that have a process and a life cycle. And so sometimes it is beneficial for others to do themselves as we have learned to do ourselves. That's also something that the Queen of Pentacles understands a bit more than the Queen of Cups when it comes to the nurturing and caring of the queens, right? To be who we are, and who we are is sacred fire, the awakening. This is interesting. I feel like I say that. I'm saying it like every card now. Um, but it's interesting because it's almost like the magic, the mysterious ways of things happening, the reason behind whatever, that we kind of just accept that we won't always know, or in some situations, circumstances, we don't need to know. It's almost like we become a bit of that magic, or we are. We can be that magic in someone else's life, right? Someone can look at us and be like, I don't know why they do what they do, or why they're doing what they're doing. It seems like counterproductive. Um, but with the sacred fire being who we are, us being made in the image of the creator, having a spark of divine creation and creatorship within us, I almost wonder here if, in an attempt to understand the world and understand why things are happening, how things came to be, there's this cerebral logic that happens, but we then learn to live to abide by that same logic. Be it confirmed or not, like, the card is magic. So, within the context of this, I'm going to say there is no explanation besides it's the energy of, at the very least. There is no explanation besides the one that we give it. And it's almost for us to be careful with how we explain things when we need an explanation, because again, that's the same logic that we are going to abide by. Like, let's say that there is someone who thinks that you have to use goat milk to bake cookies, and it's not a cookie if it's not made with goat milk. And in one place, goat milk is abundant, but then they go somewhere where goat milk isn't, and they really want cookies, and they're like, man, I guess I'm never going to have a cookie because there's no goat milk. And it's like, girl, well, like, goat milk isn't the only milk that you use. Milk to make, dude, people use it's a metaphor, okay? Maybe you don't use milk to make cookies, you dunk cookies in milk. Regardless, it's a metaphor. Take it as it resonates. It's like someone who is lamenting the fact that they now feel like they'll never have a cookie again because there are no goats and therefore no goat milk. And it's like, well, goat milk isn't the only milk that you can use. You don't even have to use milk. In fact, maybe most people don't use milk when they make cookies. I don't know. It's like there are substitutes, there are other things that you can use. It's like that's the whole like us needing to be careful of the meanings that we attribute to certain things because those meanings that we attribute become the things within our minds that we believe like the guidelines that we have to adhere to, and it's not the case. I feel like there's so much of this that's about like things being more than what they seem to be, but also sometimes things are as they seem, or acknowledging that in part things are as they seem, but they are simultaneously more, right? Next is what we are meant to be is the arrow. This, oh, I didn't even catch this. I got, okay, so I'm still getting over jet lag. All right. So, oh, look, 3 3, there are threes everywhere. I'm still getting over jet lag. So last night I got pizza because I was jet lagged and tired. My confirmation code was like 333. I was like, oh, interesting. Magic and the arrow is 33 and 3. Also, the Empress is here, which is a number 3. She is the only numbered tarot card on the table. The aces and the queens don't have numbers. The number 6 is here in the blade, which is 3 plus 3. And also 31 is the number of sugar, which has a 3 in it. And then I guess a 1 for the aces. Sure, why not? We are meant to be the arrow. And when we leave, the world is a bit more blade. It's also interesting that, like, I guess you could say it's interesting that we got the Queen of Pentacles and the Queen of Cups on one side, but then we also have the arrow and the blade on the other. So, like, there's, I mean, I guess maybe it's not that interesting because a mother holds that. Uh, the mother is both. She is the loving nurturer and also the fierce protector. You know what I mean? She holds that duality. The father can too, depending on beliefs in the culture. Sometimes the father is more of the fierce protector and avoids more of the loving nurture, or he nurtures in his own way. You know what I mean? When I first looked at it, it looked a little contradictory, but I'm like, okay, well, not really. But this arrow here, we are meant to be. There's something about this arrow piercing both of these celestial bodies, like both the yellow one and the copper one. What is copper? I think copper is Venus, and that yellow was giving me like the sun or iodine. This one, that one's kind of stumping me a little bit. Should we get a clarifier? Should I read the book? I did pull the book out, didn't I? I did pull the book. Let's see. I don't really read this book. I feel like the few times I've looked at it, I've been like, The essence of the arrow. Receiving this symbol reminds you that when you are in alignment with your heart and soul, you are on target and will soon be hitting your mark. Be true to your calling, release attachments, and free yourself from the bondage of unbridled ambition. Now is revealed to be a moment of contact in which your intention meets the material world. The arrow also symbolizes the need to set your creativity free. Cool. I mean, hey, alignment between the heart and the soul, being on target. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. I'm glad I read that because I was like, wait, we're meant to be in alignment between our heart and soul, regardless of how Earth may look and how life may typically go. But I feel like that's also like, I don't know if it's necessarily communicated in the way that I wrote it. Ways that we naturally align. Ways that we naturally align was that Queen of the Ebony Shield, Queen of Pentacles. Who we are is the sacred fire. And what we're meant to be is this arrow. It's almost like, I don't know how to put this into words. I feel like I in my brain there's a visual. I don't even know how to describe the visual because it's almost like, I guess you could say it's like in threading a needle. You can either hold the thread still and try to move the needle to put it through the eye, or you can hold the needle still and try to move the thread to put it in the eye. But instead of it being like that, it's like something that like pushes up into something else. But it's like, it's not that we're supposed to like push this one thing up into the other thing. It's something different. I'm like, wait, what does that mean? I feel like I just keep like in my mind's eye. I feel like I almost know what it means. Like I almost know how to communicate it, but then I'm just like, maybe that's one of the things when it comes to magic, that we just don't have to force an understanding onto the visual. We can just let the visual be what it is until there is an experience that gives it context or meaning. Right. Um, it makes me think of, I watched Agatha all along because there was Disney Plus where I was, and we got Disney Plus to watch Deadpool 3, but then we had it for a whole month, so we had to find other things to watch too, right? But there is a character in the show that like randomly says stuff. You find out why. But there's a moment towards the end where she randomly says something to someone. They don't question it. But then when the moment happens, it's like, oh, this is what, okay, like this is what we're doing. And it's just that, like, when she received the word, the warning, the prophecy, she didn't question it immediately. Also, she didn't have the time to question it, you know. But she didn't question it. But when the situation and circumstance happened, then she was like, okay, that's what this is for. And I feel like, again, it almost plays into, there's the one danger where we learn to limit ourselves because of the explanations and reasonings that we apply to the world. But then there's also what we lose out on and what we miss out on in other ways, right? So what we are meant to be is the arrow. When we leave the ivory shield, the world is a bit more empress. I feel like this can be fire and air. The arrow being fire, the blade being air. Um, I'm pretty sure there's a deck. I want to say it's the Wildwood Tarot or something like that because I've seen other people use it. Um, where they use like arrows and blades or swords or something. Or maybe not. Okay, two of bows. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. They hit me with an ad. I finally made it to the minor arcana and they hit me with an ad. Skip ad. Thank you. So we got bows. We have vessels, which I'm sure are cups, stones, and arrows. Arrows and bows. What? Arrows and bows? Anyway, maybe it's not that deck. I don't know. There's a something. Um, what's interesting is there's this empress that is here after we leave. We naturally align in one way and we leave another. So I was like, oh, it's almost like we bring, or whoever this resonates with, I'll just say we bring the earth and the water to the experience, and then it culminates in this empress. And then we also have like representations of air and fire here. I feel like my brain is about to start melting. I'm like, hold up, wait. When we leave, the world is a bit more empress. Maybe this speaks of almost something like legacy. The Ivory Shield in this deck is my BTFU, STFU, and Mind Your Business Queen in this deck, specifically because of the context that she was coming out in. You know what I mean? That was her. She was the like, you don't need to know. This is between, because it was always in the context of like reading for someone else or doing some kind of something with someone else. And whenever she came out, I was like, okay, this is between the person on the other side and the divine. This is not any of Patrick's business. For whatever reason, it ain't none of Patrick's business. It's not my job to question. It's my job to acknowledge and to honor. I acknowledge this ain't my business. I honor this not being my business. And then she kept popping out with that same like context, you know. And then I was like, okay. So that's when she became the BTFU, STFU, Mind Your Business Queen. Maybe there's something in here. There are legacies that we leave intentionally, and then there are things that we not things that we leave unintentionally. There are things that we can consciously do to leave a certain legacy. There are ways that we can consciously attempt and maybe succeed in impacting the world. But it's almost like just like art, there are also things that are left up to the interpretation of individuals. But it's from this place that's almost like what is for us to get out of life isn't necessarily what is for the world. It's the way that we're impacted by the world isn't necessarily the way that we impact the world. I don't know how else to try to communicate this. It's like in our experience of living, there are things that we want to do for us, right? There's a legacy that we want to leave for whatever reason. Even if that reason is to help other people, it's for us. And so it's like our legacy of helping others or making the world a better place for those who are yet to be or who currently are. It's like that is for us to do, but it's not necessarily what the world takes away from us being here. I just have to hope that makes sense. And I feel like that almost gives context to this arrow of like rather than, but it's like it's inverting something. It's like in the pushing something into something else. I don't know if it like turns it inside out or like there's some kind of way that it like, and I think that's the thing. It's like it's trying to do this rather than like just letting it be or something like that. Like we try to manipulate how we are remembered. We try to create dynasties, not all of us, some of us, so that we are remembered in a certain way or specific way. But that may not be what the world needs from us, right? So, for example, let's say that there is a like a Queen of Pentacles, King of Pentacles, someone who has a certain level of wealth or affluence or influence or whatever, right? And they are approached by someone and they assume because they are of a certain status have a certain amount of resource and are quite frequently maybe approached for similar reasons to what they're known for. It's like they're approached by someone and they're like, oh, like, so like what, you need a donation? Is this about charity? Do you need funding? Are you asking me like for business advice? And it's like someone who needs them to get out the way so that they can use the bathroom or something. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just like it's different. What we get out of living isn't necessarily what life gets out of us having lived. Like it's up to the world, it's up to individuals to discern and decide and or decide what they need and from who. Like playing to strengths, right? And then the blade is here. The blade, I'm seeing this as a wound, as a cut or a tear that is made on this solar iodine golden energy. It actually happened in the arrow. And the arrow, like, this is a snapshot of the arrow as it has pierced both of these. This arrow isn't stuck here. The arrow will continue to move. And as the arrow continues to move, like, this is what's left. Now, maybe it could be a pinata, right? Maybe there are things that can now spill out of this because it's been pierced by the arrow. Maybe there are healing waters or some kind of soothing balm inside of this yellow whatever. And now it makes more sense. And also, it plays into that, like, we don't always determine our legacy, even if we leave a dynasty or establish a dynasty or whatever. I think the simplest way to put this. Oh, I had it and then I lost it. I had it and I immediately lost it. It's along the lines of people, others, the world at large, knowing what they need from us, discerning and deciding, discerning and or deciding, deciding and or discerning what they need from us, right? And it may not necessarily be like I had a whole experience where my takeaway from the experience wasn't, I feel like my takeaway from the experience was not what I was intended to take away from that experience. But I, in having shared that experience, found something more profound, found something beyond the moment. And so, like, what that was for me was so much more than like what was happening in that moment. Or it was so much more than what was being established in that moment. And I think that also plays into magic. Magic being like the we don't always know someone's motivations, we don't always know why whatever is happening, and we don't always need to know. We come to our own conclusions. We each have our own individual experiences, and there is more to the world. There are so many sides to most stories. And for us, sometimes the most important is our own. Oftentimes, the most important is our own. But in the context of the mark that we leave on the marks that we leave on each other and on the world at large, it I don't know. I feel like in this past 20 minutes, I should have said it in a way that can be understood, right? Um, yeah. So this is actually when I pulled these, I was like, what? I feel like we got there in the end. So basically, as long as you are living in alignment with your heart and soul and doing what is for you to do, you will be of benefit to others if you want. I mean, man, And I feel like it's almost a take of like, if you heal yourself, you heal the world. But it's like, yes, but also not in the ways that we may think or intend. Right? Like, let's say that someone is jogging and they trip and fall and scrape their knee, and you happen to be there and you happen to have antiseptic and a band aid or something, or just a kind whatever, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, are you okay? Like, you're intending to help this person find comfort in the short term, but your presence in that moment proves to them that there are people who exist in the world who have enough of range of scope to not only notice others, but to also like be of help. And maybe for them, they'd never experienced that before. Maybe everyone else would just keep going about their day. And so, because of that, there was a certain like storyline that was playing in their mind about who people are and how people are and what the world has become. But you, in your attempt to do whatever, like, you actually did so much more for that person than that. It's like that kind of energy. And that's just like you being who you are, going about your day. That's the arrow. In its path and in its trajectory, it happens to pierce these two things. One of them is now it's like it's spilled open, and all of this stuff that almost looks like sugar, honestly, spills out of the gap, or it spills out of the wound. And this is like real sugar. This being what we saw earlier, that's that like highly processed, not good for you at all sugar. This, that's the good stuff. It tastes good and it's good for you. You know what I mean? Type energy. Cool. Love it. Love it. We found cohesion. Whoop, whoop. That's funny. My mom is a Pisces, my number one fan. Um, and this is to go off of your Virgo point. Um, there's like, we got one day we were in Walmart, and while we were in the store, her battery died. So I went in and I bought a self jumping automatic jumper or whatever, so that if there's not another vehicle there to jump your car, you can use this device to jump it, right? And there's something else that she has, and we were on the road Saturday, and she was like, you know what, I got like all of this emergency stuff, but I left it at home, like it's not even in the car. So we have it, but it's not anywhere we could actually use it if we need it. So I don't know if that's the Pisces in us, where it's like, yeah, we have it, but it's not on hand when and where we'd actually need it. Oof. But that's why I was like, Pisces requires some Virgo. Without Virgo, it'll fall apart. You know what I mean? Virgo has the sense to be like, okay, but like, is it on your person when you need it? Congratulations, Pisces, for getting it in case of an emergency, because you were in an emergency. But why don't you, like, carry it with you? What you gonna what if this happens again, Pisces? You're gonna go into Walmart and buy another one? Anyway, it's fine. Wow, this was actually like kind of coherent by the end of it. I mean, at least in my mind. I don't know if I feel like I did. I'm pretty sure I did. Um and again, like, the sugar that is pouring out of this orb that has been pierced by the arrow, this is exactly, and it plays into these first few cards. It plays into that Queen of Pentacles. It plays into things being as they seem sometimes, or like enjoying the sweet moments for what they are. Because this is what we try to force ourselves, or this is what there's a pressure to conform to. This thing that we almost go out of our way and that we twist and contort and bend ourselves to try to achieve, if we just naturally follow our own alignment, It's a byproduct of living. Like you don't have to, you know, do whatever. Cool. Interesting. Wow. It worked. I feel like it worked. Apply it to your life, however it applies to your life, if it applies to your life, or don't, you know? I kind of want to get one more card. For maybe I'll do a mystical shaman because that was the effect on the world, right? But I feel like it works both ways. We get whatever out of it that is for us to get. So I don't have to pull to see what it is. So I'm going to pull these cards, but we may negate them. That's on the world on the soul. Lightning. Whoa, 30, another three. We got 3, 30, and 33. Interesting. Okay. The Giver, 6 of orbs, and another 6. Another 3 and another 6. 6 is the blade, 6 of orbs, 3, 33, 30. The Empress is number 3. Okay, okay. And the Demiurge, 4 of wands. I feel like this plays into the magic from above. You know what I mean? The Demiurge, as far as I know, without getting into a whole whatever, you know, my North Node is in Sagittarius. So, so it is my purpose and destiny to tell it like it is and not sugarcoat nothing for nobody. But I feel like sometimes, I feel like it's fine. As far as I know, there's a whole bunch of stuff that I am vaguely aware of that I have no desire to be more informed about. Absolutely none. I just, you know, it's, yeah, anyway. So, my takeaway from this demiurge energy is someone who can make their life as they want it to be, right? Someone who is behind the wheel of their own life, someone who is making their choices, decisions. And again, going back to the magic and the ebony shield, it doesn't matter. Sometimes it doesn't matter who, what, when, where, how, or why. Sometimes it's like, okay, what are we going to do? It doesn't matter who put this here. It doesn't matter who did what, where. If you're impacted and affected, especially to various degrees of like impact and the severity of that impact, positive or negative, then like, yes. You know what I mean? But there are some things in life where it's almost like it doesn't matter where it started. If it's something that you want to stop, will you seize it? Will you end it or will you not? So that's the demiurge here for me. There's also something about not needing to understand this, not needing to understand a magic to work it. There's a movie that I watched. I feel like on a plane, and there was a kid who had some kind of magic, and there was a zodiac, the tiger, who was like, you don't have to understand the magic to use the magic. Like, the magic is within you. You can feel the magic. You don't have to. It's almost like, for the things that come so naturally and so innately to us, we don't have to understand how our body moves in order for it to move. If it moves, especially if it moves in the way we want it to, right? If we don't have um, anything that impacts those functions, right? You don't have to understand how your body metabolizes food in order to like get the nutrients and vitamins out of the food that you eat. You know what I mean? You don't have to understand how lungs work and function to breathe in and out. And maybe that's what this, I want to say that's what this lightning is, but I don't see how. Okay. I want to say this is what I was about to say, right? I want to say that that's what this lightning is, but I don't see how the world is supposed to teach us this. But I was literally just saying, like, you don't have to understand something to use it. You don't have to understand how magic works to do magic. Um, so it's, and then the Six of Pentacles is here. This is something, this is an offshoot of the magic and the sacred fire, us having a spark of creator within us. And it is almost something that is so, almost like there is no logical or even reasonable connection between two things, but one thing gives someone like an epiphany, right? It's almost that kind of energy. This is the opposite, the other side of the same coin of, we can impact others in the world in ways that we don't necessarily intend. And in the same token, we can be impacted by others in the world and the world in ways that they don't necessarily intend. And it's almost like this is something, this giver six of orbs. It's like it seems like there is something completely unrelated that happens in life, or there's something completely unrelated to whatever is about to shift and move. But because it happens, it's like we get it, we understand. And it's like, what? I was like, I don't know. I just get it now. You know what I mean? Like, you just spoke nonsense for a whole hour, 33 minutes, and 27 seconds, but, you know, now I get it. Now I know. And I feel like that's almost a question of, where does insight or revelation come from? I guess some people would say remembering. You're remembering. We don't learn anything, we remember. And of course, there are contexts in which that's true, right? And so then, like, one final card from, whoa, why is what's the smoky mirror? All of these decks are face down because I don't want to know what card I'm going to pull. I shuffled them, I put them face down, and then I reveal the card face up. I pulled lightning. The smoky mirror is upright. I look down and it's just like looking at me. I'm like, because I was gonna get an alchemy card to, like, round it out. But that's the thing. I also feel like that's like, again, it's this whole, but that's the thing about perspective. We can go through the same things, look at the same things, eat the same whatever, and process, digest, experience it differently. And there's almost something here with the smoky mirror, where with the smoky mirror, with this whole thing, um in terms of not needing to understand how something works in order for it to work, or not needing to understand magic to use magic. And also going back to the whole us being careful of the motivations, rules, regulations, and stipulations that we put on things, because that's the same logic that we naturally abide by when we try to do the same. There are things that are natural. There are capabilities within us that are natural because we are who we are, because we are created in the way that we are created. And in a natural knowing, in a natural alignment, there are certain things that we don't necessarily have to know. But there are systems, books, laws that are in place that are like a guideline to like use or access certain things. And this lightning is like a natural way to come upon certain information without consulting a book, a mentor, guru, or teacher. It's a way that is natural to someone. I've never seen the movie Practical Magic, but I want to say it's like a practical magic, right? It's not a studied sort of whatever. There are things that are found just by simply living life. Cool. All right, let's get final cards. Let's get final cards. Let's get final cards. Final cards. Ooh, the title card with the Scarlet Shield. We seeing all the shields today. That's every shield except for the Golden Shield. I'm gonna put the Water Known Alchemy away. Only got one card from the Water Known Alchemy. I'm gonna put that one away first because I want to see another alchemy. I feel like I meant to draw one. Yeah, I was gonna reach for the Wild Unknown Alchemy, but then I saw the smoky mirror at the top. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Ooh, the healer, which is the star, and the ferryman, which is the Six of Swords. Interesting. I think that was the Three of Pentacles, which is the Mason, ironically or unironically. Oh gosh. Oof, I'm glad these are made out of a sturdy cardstock. Because if I would have messed that card up, I would have been so upset. The Vitruvian edition is not in print anymore. I don't know. Y'all may be seeing me a little bit more frequently here in these next few days as I'm like, I'm back. And I have all my decks. Oh, it's blurry. You may not. I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, I need to. There's a lot. I've changed a lot since the last time I was here. And I need to see. Ooh, completion. Interesting. I need to see how I am going to integrate it into where I am now. In my mind, it's one of those like, oh, it would be so easy to integrate if I was like somewhere else, blah, 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 whatever. If I was now where I am going to be, it would be like whatever. And it's like, yeah, girl, because it would already be duh. Well, I'm like, wow, yeah, that's accurate. All right. Ooh, the peacock's tail was at the bottom of the deck. I love the rainbow for like all kinds of different experiences. You know what I mean? And it's number 55, interestingly. We got 30 and 31. 30 was lightning, 31 is sugar. Against nature, contra naturam, 56. All right. Last alchemy. What is this alchemy for? I don't know. I feel like it's important. What is this? What is this for? I'll just get it. Almost. I'll just get the last card. We'll see. I'm almost feeling like a glass type energy, or either glass, tennis, or uh, either glass, fog, or smoke. Ooh, none of the above. Number 20, lead. I actually love that lead is the card that came out. I actually really love that lead is the card that came out. Yeah. I love that lead is the card that came out because the end of this was like, regardless of rules, regulation, systems, like alchemy is a whole like thing, girl. There were like alchemical texts created by the alchemists. There are other texts created by whoever, and it's neither here nor there. I love that it came. The card of alchemy that came out is the base material. Why do I have to be so close? This is how. This is where the focus on the camera is right now. Hello. 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 It's fine. I could. You know what? Sure. Why not? I'm gonna manually focus. I can force the camera to focus. I usually don't prefer it just because it's like extra stuff I have to click. I mean, it's honestly, I guess I didn't even have to go all the way in. It just like did it. Hi, I'm back. um, this shifted. Now you can see like the blue that was over here is gone, and now it's all brown. I could probably just no the other way. There we go. Um, right. My camera's not the only thing. This is the card that came out, and I love it. I love that it's lead. It's the base material. There are so many pathways to go from lead to gold. There are so many things that you can do. It's like find whatever is natural to you for you. Bottom of the deck is the blue temple, the azure vault, and it's number 54. We've seen 54, 55, and 56, interestingly enough. Interestingly enough. I'm going to read from the book. Why are you going to read from the book? Weren't you just saying blah, 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 whatever? Yeah, I was. And I'm still going to read from the book. The Azure Vault is 54. 55 was the Peacock's Tail, and 56 was Contra Naturam Against Nature. The Azure Vault. This is the celestial realm, imagination, and expansiveness. Love that. Welcome to the Blue Temple, the home of the alchemical imagination. You have entered a space of new depths, new possibilities. The inner eye opens, and you become willing to see in a new way. To understand this card, one must study blue. Okay, yeah, we're gonna skip that. We're skipping that. Yeah. I think that's it. Welcome to the Blue Temple, the home of the alchemical imagination. You have entered a space of new depths, new possibilities. The inner eye opens, and you become willing to see in a new way. I love that it says willing to see. You become willing to see, not able to see. The fact that it implies like someone becoming willing to see, the fact that it is written, you become willing to see, to me implies that we were always able to see something. We were always capable of seeing something. Maybe we always saw something, but we weren't willing to see what we saw as it was or as it is. My brain just went, whoa, because I'm looking at lead. There's almost something here. We look at lead and see it as, my brain can't keep up. We look at lead and we see it as the base material for gold. We don't, it's, there's one implication or one vibe that's like, we don't look at lead for what it is. We don't look at lead for how it is. We don't look at lead for all that it has to offer. We look at it as something to be transformed into something else. That's one thing. Oh, I knew I was going to lose it. This is why I like write. I actually like type. I was going to like type alive, just like pull cards and then like type it up and then like maybe go through and read it at the end. Because when I type, I'm able to like, if I get multiple thoughts coming in at the same time, I can start a thought, start typing another one, complete one thought, start typing another. Like if I'm speaking, my brain is like, what was I just saying? What was the thought that we just had? Where was this going? But if I'm typing it and then like being able to read it helps me like maintain it or like get on that track. Anyway, it's fine. There was something that I watched recently, and I feel like this, it surfaced to my mind. It had, and it's like it's almost there. The thought is like pushing up against, can you see it like pushing up against my skull, trying to break free from the brain cage? It was in that like always seeing something as the base material. Lead is the base material. Lead is the thing to be transformed into gold. Oh, I feel like it was so good too. I feel like it was so good, but it just, in trying to explain or finish that thought, I lost the other one. It's fine. Oh, it was some. I feel like it was profound. Oh, this isn't the thought that I had. But mm, okay, this isn't the thought that I had, but okay. No, I just remembered I was like scrolling YouTube shorts, and there was someone that was like, she had her hand raised, and she was like, "I gotta check the fountain. I gotta check the fountain. I gotta check the fountain." And they're like, "What are you doing?" And she was like, "This is what I do so that like, because if I notice something." And like my ADHD, like as soon as I leave the room, I forget. But if I do this, then I can remember. Also, like I set these things on the counter so that I would remember to ask you to do this and do this and do this. Like and trying to remember what I'm trying to remember, it made me think of that video, that short, and I lost it. It's fine. Um, So this isn't the thought that I originally had because I don't think this is tied to the thing that I saw recently that I cannot recall. But there's something about there are the things that we lose out on when we only see lead as something to be turned into gold, when we don't see necessarily like lead for what it is, right? Q, whatever, like, girl, we ain't got to go there. Um, Q, whatever experience of like someone who feels like they're seen for their potential or someone that only feels like they're seen as the inheritor of whatever, right? But like they're not seen as who they are, and their own dreams, goals, desires may not be acknowledged or whatever, right? But there's this thought that I can actually like hold that's like when you I don't know if it's something about lead that convinced someone it could become gold. I don't know why lead specifically. There are so many metals, right? Why isn't it copper? Why didn't they turn copper into gold? Maybe because copper has like uses and it's seen as valuable. Anyway, is lead not seen as valuable? Anyway, it's like someone. Oh, Hidden Figures. That's what it was. Okay, I saw Hidden Figures recently, and in the movie, the one guy said something like, we're trying to get to the like everyone is looking at this problem like we're trying to get to the moon, but in my mind, we're already there. And he was like, we need math that doesn't exist yet. We need this, that, like, we need all of these things that don't exist. And we're trying to get somewhere, but in my mind, we're already there. It was that. So it is actually related. It's like someone looked at lead one day, but saw it as gold. And then the work became turning lead into gold using science that didn't exist yet, math that didn't, a knowledge that didn't exist. And maybe that's where like the inspiration. So thanks, Holly, for the inspiration. Maybe that's where the inspiration of lightning comes in. Maybe that's the Six of Pentacles, the demiurge, right? The demiurge is the one who experiences life as they wish it to be. The demiurge looks at lead and sees it as gold. And because the demiurge holds the visual of gold so profoundly or whatever, there are these different things that like the neurons just connect and they find out a process to learn to turn lead into gold. Right. Again, it plays into that like there are natural ways to do or acquire. There are things that are ingrained within us that we don't have to go out and find a guru, mentor, read a book, do whatever. Is it helpful? Of course. I'm not going to say that there aren't, like, there are things that are naturally within us and there are things that are naturally within other people. If we want something that is not naturally within us, then yes, of course, we would follow an approved method. I'm not necessarily the type of person that believes that just because one person can do something, everyone can do it. You know what I mean? I'm not necessarily the we are individuals, but we exist within like individuals of a collective. So if you see someone out in the collective who's a brain surgeon girl, you don't need no education, no experience, no training. You can walk into the room and operate just because they know how to operate. You know what I mean? That's not me. That's not my tea. You know, maybe it's because of the journey that I'm living, you know, or the way that I want to live my life. Maybe that's my own box to unpack and learn to live exist without at some point in time. Um, so again, not to say that there aren't reasons, like not to say that we don't need leaders, right? But if something is innate within someone, then it's quite possible that they have their own way of doing it, their own conclusions to reach. They see the lead as gold, or maybe someone is willing to see lead as more than just lead now. And that's how they arrive eventually uh, to a point where they can turn it into gold. Maybe that's the first and final step. I don't know. Because if you only ever see lead as lead, it will only ever be lead, right? In the movie, it was those who already saw themselves being on the moon that were so instrumental in getting there. It was the one that already saw herself wherever. And it's like, it's because she already saw herself on the moon that she was able to see how Euler's method fit to their situation, right? Because they were like, maybe it's not, because they, at one point, it's like, we need math, or like, we need an equation. Like, we need math that doesn't yet exist, is what they were saying. And then they were like, well, maybe there's an equation that already exists, and like the methodology or the application, the uses, like current uses of this equation don't apply. But that equation would make the numbers work. And there was an equation that wasn't being used for what they used it for, but it made the numbers work and it worked. That plays back into the whole like something can be more than what it seems. Like there is this specific context that we exist in, but there is so much more outside of that. Oh gosh. Cool. Whoa. Oh wow. There's a lot of uh what was I gonna say? A lot of things that can be beneficial in the right concentration for the right purposes and reasons. Too much of anything can be a bad thing. I don't know if conversely too little of anything can be a good thing. You know what I mean? Because when you start talking like parts per billion, it's like, girl, you know, if one part per billion is medicine, but two is like toxic, then I don't know. Anyway, it's fine. All right, final mystical shaman oracle. The time master comes to mind, and the mystical shaman, but not as the time master or the mystical shaman. Almost in a way of like someone who is regarded to be something. Um, that's so interesting. It's almost like oh, I had it and then I lost it. It's like someone who is proficient at something It's so weird. Excuse me. It's like someone who's like really good at something. It's almost like going back to schools of thought or practices. It's like, let's say you have a mystical shaman, and the mystical shaman knows why they do. The mystical shaman has an innate knowing of an innate knowing that what they do will give the result that they desire. They may not necessarily know why, they may not understand the science of it or whatever, but they know innately, if I do this for this purpose, it will work. And it's almost like someone who is not the mystical shaman observes the mystical shaman and applies their logic and reasoning, their science to the mystical shaman's practices and sells it as like, this is what you need to do. That's why it's like it's this visual of like the time master or the mystical shaman, but it's like it's not actually the time master or the mystical shaman. Right. Again, I feel like it's both sides um, of the board. How late is it over there, Kirsty? I feel like I would be going to bed if I. Yeah, I would be. Oh, look! It's 3:33. Oh, it's 3:33:35. It was just 3:33:33. Wow, interesting. Anyway, it's fine. 21:33. Woo! See, this is the part where I would be deciding, deliberating. Okay, am I going to watch another episode or am I going to get ready for bed? But I still got hours, hours. All right, final mystical shaman. Taming the Wind is the card that came out. Bottom of the deck is Earth. 55. Number 55 was the Peacock's Tail, wasn't it? Taming the Wind. I love that it's like this is the card that came out. Taming the Wind brings forth an energy that's kind of been here about like culture, ancestry practices in certain areas. What is like proven to work, what works for who, and why it works or doesn't work. Um, let's get open it up. The corn, of course, it's the corn. I kept seeing the corn as I shuffled. The corn is giving me 1234. Oh snap! With taming the wind and the corn, it's giving me like the life cycle of corn from seed to mature and how at different heights, at different stages of its life, it interacts with the wind differently. It's like it's moved differently by the wind. I think going back to like the mystical shaman and the time master, it's almost like by the time the time master is acknowledged as a master and the mystical shaman is acknowledged as an actual like mystical shaman, depending, it's almost like there's a whole process of learning or development or maturation that took place before they were recognized as they are. Right. So this is almost like a card for someone who is in the process of mastering, learning, developing something that they will someday be known for. Right? It's like this is where the work is put in, this is where the trial and error happens. This is where like the learning happens. This can be where understanding is built around what is innate. Right? So it's like you don't have to understand how something works to know that it works. And so it's almost like it could be a time of building an understanding centered around things working. Right? Like this works and I know it works. Let me try to find out how or why. Rather than utilizing a current understanding to try to arrive at the output of a process. Right. Ooh. The initiate and the erudite at the cut. That is so interesting. The initiate and the hermit. I mean, eventually someday the initiate will be seen as the erudite, will be seen as the wise one, will be seen as the hermit, but they're still taming the wind, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, final card from the Vitruvian SKT. I'll give it 2 more shuffles. Oh, I was going to give it 2 more. Bottom of the deck is the Ebony Shield, which was how we naturally align. 4 cards came out. Mars in Leo, Mars in Aries, Venus in Virgo. That's a lot of Mars. The Dark Horse, 7 of Scepter, 7 of Wands. The Tower, which is another 7. 16. The Discerning One, which is the 2 of Scepters. And the Dynasty, which is the 10 of Orbs. Sorry. This is interesting. The bottom of the deck is the Ebony Shield. Who is the Divine Temptress? This may be standalone, or it may stand apart. With the Dark Horse, the Tower, the Discerning One, and the Dynasty, this is an energy of someone who has inherited a certain legacy, but that sees the not greatness of that legacy. And so it's almost like they forsake the comfort of what's been given to them because they know of its impacts. And that's why the Divine Temptress is here. And then the Wheel of Life is under, or with the healer under the Wheel of Life, and the warrior under the healer. It's almost like in order for the wheel to turn favorably, in order for something to work out, in order for healing to happen, something must fall. And that something is this dynasty. And it's not like this energy isn't by someone that exists outside of the dynasty. This is from within. Right. Cool. How admirable. Someone who can sacrifice their own comfort to do what's right. Right. Type energy. All right, and then last but not least, we have the Revelations edition of the SKT. I'm feeling so sweaty. I'm sweaty. It's kind of warm. if my forehead ain't glistening and gleaming enough to indicate that it is quite warm. All right, final card from the Revelations edition. Also, for what that deck was more of the self, right? So maybe instead of it being someone in a position of, like, affluence or power or whatever, that inherited power, a power that like oppresses people or whatever, and they're like, you know what, this isn't great, maybe we should stop. And it doesn't matter that I'm on the, like, I'm winning, it doesn't matter that I'm benefiting from this. Wrong is wrong, and I want to be in the right, you know or anyway. But that was internal. So that could be someone who is like, maybe someone on theme, on brand, someone who understands that in a certain arena or area of life, business, whatever, there are certain benefits to operating in well established, clearly defined, proven, tested ways. But continuing to abide by those things keeps some kind of happiness, joy, fulfillment, peace, the star and the sun, like, outside of one's purview of experience, right? It's like the tower has to fall in order for the wheel of fortune to bring the sun and the healer, the star and the sun, wish fulfillment, joy, peace, happiness, a great time. And again, it's that, like, I understand the convention and the convenience of this, but there's something that is not aligned. It's like maybe someone was convinced that in order to be successful, to according to whatever definition, there were things that they had to compromise. But it's like, you know what, maybe they realize that there's something that they don't want to compromise on anymore, and so they forsake convention and they get everything. All right, we just had a clean flip. The flip was so clean, I ain't even get a glance or a peek at what flipped over. Oh my gosh. Guess what card flipped over? Guess what card flipped over? Just talking about everything that I talked about, saying everything I said. The card that flipped over is New World Order. And the SKT, the world, is New World Order. And it is Crown of the Magi. I love this. Bottom of the deck is the healer, which is the star. This is Gifts of the Spirit in the healer and Crown of the Magi in New World Order. Again, I feel like that's just the punctuation on everything that I just said. But now this is like outside. So that could be, as more and more forsake convention and whatever, forsake what is established for what is right, it proves and shows to others that they too can do the same, right? It's like the world changes. But going back to the body of this, so the cards before the final cards, it's not necessarily for us to determine how the world changes. It's not necessarily up for us to dictate what other people do, their choices and decisions, right? There are things that we get out of life, and there are things that life gets out of us, or the world at large gets out of us, right? And hopefully, of course, it aligns, but it's not uh, someone's job or responsibility to change the world, I guess. It's not someone's job or responsibility to change the world. It's their job to change how they exist and operate within it. And maybe others will be inspired to make certain changes, or maybe whatever, and the world will end up changing. So it's very like be the change that you wish to see in the world type energy. It's very like be in the world but not of it type energy. Um, cool. So that's what I got today. Take it as it resonates if it resonates, and if it don't resonate, of course, don't take it. Thank you, Holly and Kirsty, for stopping by. I hope that you have an amazing whenever you see this. I hope that you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. And I hope that whatever you need along your path, journey, and way you find. I hope you an openness and a willingness to see things beyond what they have been, especially if it gets you to somewhere where you never thought you'd get to go. You know what I mean? Because wouldn't that be like awesome? Like Saturn's not going to be in Pisces anymore. I high key, I don't know. I'm weird. You know, I went through my Saturn return and I was like, oh my gosh, Saturn is amazing. You know what I mean? Saturn, it got me out of and into so much that I didn't think possible. But it's maybe that's another thing. It's almost like there are trusty things that work. Like this is a time tested proven method that will work. It's a safe bet. It's maybe not necessarily exciting, it's not dynamic, it's not maybe fun, it's not for everybody, but it will work if you work it, you know and not everyone is of the type, ilk, or mind, or not everyone has the desire to do things the boring way. There are creatives that exist in the world. We call them Aries. Saturn's coming for you too. I'm just I'm kidding. All right. Thank you both for being here. It was a good time. I'll probably come back and use more decks that I haven't used. I can't think of any right now, but I'm sure there's something I want to use, right? A deck dungeon? Maybe not. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I'll catch y'all later. Bye.